Hey and welcome to Pica. In this video, we're going to go over Vercel's new workflow feature, and we're going to build our first workflow in a Next.js app. For this tutorial, we're going to follow along with the Getting Started guide that Vercel has published. Let's go ahead and create our Next.js project. I'm going to clone a new Next application, and I'm going to call it My Workflow App. Let's use the default settings. Let's go ahead and install the workflow package. And now let's open up our project inside Cursor. The next step is going to be to configure Next.js. So let's go ahead and copy this and go into our config. The next step will be to create our workflow file. So let's go ahead and create a folder called workflows and a file called user signup. We can see a general skeleton of how the workflow is going to look, with creating a user, sending an email, and then an onboarding email after it sleeps. Let's go ahead and define our workflow steps now. And let's clean this up a little. So let's take a look at this code. The first step in our workflow is going to create a user here. So for now, we're just going to leave this as is, and you could replace this with whatever logic you'd have that actually creates the user in your app. The next step will be to send a welcome email. In this example, they're throwing a retriable error on a random time, so let's just remove that so we're not going to leave anything up to chance here. And then the final step is going to be to send an onboarding email. Now let's take a look at the next step. Let's go ahead and create a route handler that we're going to use to be able to post so that it will actually kick this workflow off. So I'm going to create a new file called route.ts in app, API, and signup. This endpoint is going to start our workflow, and it's going to send back a response saying that this user signup workflow has started. So let's go ahead and run this and then give it a try. Here we can see that the workflow started, and we can see that it waited and it continued as well. We can run the inspector and see what just happened here. And there's our workflow execution. Now, obviously, because we're not actually sending an email yet, we're simply going to see a log. So let's go ahead and use Pica to actually send Gmail emails here. You can head into your Pica dashboard and click on the Add Connection button. Search for Gmail and connect your Gmail. From there, we can head back into Cursor and we can search for our MCP settings. Make sure that you've got the Pica MCP server installed, and let's go ahead and start prompting Cursor. Let's accept these changes and see the code that was written. Here we can see that the MCP server used Pica's knowledge to add all that it needed to be able to actually send Gmail emails. we can see that we're sending a welcome email, and then we're also going to send an email once the user has waited 5 seconds, and this is going to be an onboarding email. Let's add the needed environment variables. So we'll create an end file. We're going to need our Pica secret. You can grab that from the API keys section. And let's add our Gmail connection key. If we go to the Connected Integrations tab, you can copy it from the table here. Now let's execute our workflow again. I'm going to update the email to my personal email. And let's take a look at the inspector again. Here we can see that the workflow ran successfully. And let's take a look at my email. So I can see here that we got a welcome email that was sent over. Obviously, you can customize this however you'd like. This is what the default email that was created for us was. And then after 5 seconds of sleeping, we got another email here that said, get started with your onboarding. So that easily, we created a Vercel workflow in our Next.js application that uses Pica's Gmail integration to send emails out. As always, we'll add links in the description below for the source code and documentation links to follow along. Let us know what workflows you're building and what new integrations you'd like to see in Pica. Happy building!